Chapter 1. The most crucial aspect of communication is mastering nonverbal cues. You can't become an effective negotiator without understanding the role of nonverbal cues. There's more to communication than just speaking or writing words on paper. People think before they communicate. Emotions are involved, and in many cases, the things you hear are not all they had in mind. They could be lying about their position on an issue, or it may even be the case that they are unable to fully express themselves. A study by Dr. Mehrabian, former psychology professor at the University of California, Los Angeles, suggests 93% of communication is nonverbal. Whatever the case is, mastering nonverbal cues will have dual benefits. First, it will help you understand the people you're speaking with, which is important. But second, and more importantly, it will enable you to effectively use the negotiation hacks discussed in this summary. For example, you can use this skill to build trust and rapport with negotiating. It will also help you realize nonverbal cues you may give that are passing on the wrong message without you knowing it. A classical example is telling the other party you're open to something while keeping your arms and/or legs crossed, a sign that communicates the opposite. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. Peter F. Drucker. Albert Mehrabian, Professor Emeritus of Psychology, UCLA, performed groundbreaking research on the effects of nonverbal cues and found that deceitful negotiators are more likely to smile, make more speaking errors, and make less eye contact and body movements. Watch out for these traits the next time you're involved in a negotiation. With that being said, let's consider some key insights every negotiator must know. Proxemics. This deals with the amount of distance people should have between themselves when communicating. Too close and people will feel uncomfortable. Too far away and the communication becomes awkward. Keep a distance of around 4 feet from the other party. Eye contact. It's frequently said that the eyes are the windows to the soul, and it's true. Keeping regular eye contact when communicating helps instill trust in the minds of people. Paralinguistics. This studies how something is said, not what is said. Two people can say the same thing but invoke very different emotions because of how they said it. Aside from vocal and facial factors, speech rate and volume have been found to influence persuasiveness. Generally, a moderately high volume and fluent speech make people more persuasive. Health. The wellness of the body and soul is important in anything we do. While there's so much we can't control, it makes sense to take precautionary steps concerning the factors under our control. Eat healthily, exercise regularly, drink water often. Chapter 2. Persuasion is a skill, and it can be learned. At its core, negotiation is about using the elements of persuasion to get a better deal than what's already available. So, in this chapter, you will learn skills to help you get better at the art. We will learn from Aristotle, who is commonly considered the king of persuasion. He outlined 3 principles every speaker must understand and practice in his book, Rhetoric. They are ethos, pathos, and logos. Let's go over them in detail, and also consider keys to help you implement them in your negotiations. Ethos. People have to trust you before they can listen to you and be persuaded to follow what you say. But the problem is that it takes time to build trust, and there would often be time constraints, except for a few outlier cases like when you have an existing relationship with the other party. It gets tougher when you or your company has a terrible track record with the people you're negotiating with. How do you go about building trust? Here are 2 things you can do. Highlight connections. Did you know someone in the organization or someone they have a relationship with? Don't hesitate to make that obvious. All the better if you can get a proactive reference from this valuable relationship. But don't be cheesy. If you were childhood friends with the manager but haven't seen him in 15 years, there's no use name dropping. Tell a story. We're wired to love stories, and that isn't changing anytime soon. But your stories must have specificity. Don't just tell random stories for the sake of it. A good storyline example is sharing how your company values align with your negotiation goals. Whatever story you tell, keep this in mind. People are more open to familiar stories they can relate to than novel ones. The second principle is pathos. This deals with the idea that you need to make deposits in the emotional banks of the people you're negotiating with. Do things that make them feel good about you. This can mean taking care of logistics, dressing nicely, using power words, etc. Just be creative about it. People are naturally open to individuals they feel an emotional connection with. The third and last principle is logos, reason. How reasonable are your arguments? It's good to be trustworthy and empathetic, but can you also present reasonable arguments? Do you have hard facts to prove your points? Is there any research you've made that can help convince them? Bring it all to the table. Did you know Shakespeare invented more than 1,700 words? Chapter 3. Take the time to understand your personal negotiating style. No two persons are the same. They may seem to have so much in common, but people can't be the same. Genetics and life experiences bring out the uniqueness in us, and it goes to say that we all have different negotiating styles. These styles have a lot to do with our personality types. Your personality type naturally influences how you engage in negotiations. The concept of personality types is believed to have been studied first by Hippocrates, a well-known Greek philosopher who's also regarded as the father of modern medicine. According to him, there are 4 personality types, and although many groundbreaking works have been done in this field to reveal more information and how these personalities blend, the foundation he laid remains fundamental. The 4 personality types and their traits are listed below. Cholerics. These are bold, passionate, and ambitious people. Melancholics. People with this personality type are often anxious and unhappy. Sanguines. These are the opposites of melancholics. They are joyful and eager people. Their optimism is always palpable. Phlegmatics. These people are calm and collected, rarely bothered, and mostly reliable. As earlier stated, these 4 personality types are broad categories in light of how far science has gone. If you'd like to determine your personality type and learn how you can maximize it during negotiations, visit sites like www.mbtionline.com and www.kiersey.com. It's also important to understand the other party's personality type. This will help you blend your arguments to suit the person or group. Many people try to use the same negotiation tactic irrespective of the person they're dealing with, but it doesn't always work. For instance, you can expect the same techniques to be effective for both phlegmatics and cholerics because the 2 personality types are almost polar opposites. This type of adaptive negotiation is not easy, but you'll get better with practice. Chapter 4. Know what drives the other negotiation party. You stand a better chance at persuasion if you're able to meet your opponent at the point of their needs. People tend to forget that behind every negotiation act is a deep desire to meet a specific need that's often not obviously part of the negotiation goals. For example, a young executive might want to close the deal because doing so will secure him a promotion, which in turn will fetch him more money so he can better take care of his aging mother. But you won't know it if all you're looking at is the company goals he seems to be advocating. Researching the other party is something you must do if you want to have an edge over them. Detailed research before the negotiation commences would arm you with the knowledge you can use to craft an effective negotiation angle. Conduct both online and offline research to know more about the company or person you'd be negotiating with. If it's a person, check their social media, especially LinkedIn, and see what you can glean from them. Look out for qualifications, job history, and personal information. What kind of professional are they? How long have they been in the industry? Any career changes in the past few years, or have they held on to the same career? What do you like to do outside work? Any pets? The information you find would determine the negotiation strategy you'll use. For example, remember the young exec we talked about? If you happen to know all the details outlined earlier, you can then tailor your arguments to how you or your company can help him get his job done faster and with more results, which are likely to earn him the promotion he desires. You will get all you want in life if you help enough people get what they want. Zig Ziglar. Apply the same research principle when negotiating with a company. Read about their company culture, history, values, mission, etc. And see how you can structure your negotiation to provide value to them. After conducting online research, check for offline sources you can use to vet the information you get. This could be people you know, another organization, or public records. The last thing you want to do is use the wrong information gotten from the internet. Chapter 5. Make the other party like you. Have you ever had a conversation with a total stranger and immediately like the person without knowing why? It happens all the time. Some people just seem to be more likable than others. Even among friends and relatives that we've known for years, there are some that we like more than the others. What could be responsible for this? One word: attractiveness. Some people have it naturally, so they display it without even realizing, while others have to learn it. Attractiveness is a skill that anyone can learn and master. So, how do you make yourself attractive during a negotiation? Listen with empathy. We all have this weakness. When someone is listening to everything you have to say as though you're the most important person in the world, you naturally tend to like them. The next time you're in a negotiation and the other party is speaking, ensure to pay close attention. Put away physical distractions and try to focus your mind on what they're saying. Ask questions and make gestures to show you're attuned. Become a salesman. Successful salespeople don't focus on themselves or their company. They instead focus on showing prospects how a product or service can make their lives better. The lesson here is to focus on the benefits of the deal. Hammer on what the other party has to gain. The clearer you make it, the better your chances of winning them over. Don't irritate them. If you're in the habit of using curse words or speaking in other ways that irritate people, don't take that trait to the negotiation table. Remember, the goal is to make them like you. And if you want to take it a notch higher, you can arrange perks to make the negotiation go smoothly. Simple things like taking care of logistics, providing lunch, giving them company swags you know they'd like, etc. will go a long way. Don't confuse likability with agreeability. Agreeing with the needs and arguments of the other party won't make you weak or decrease your likability. If anything, it communicates the message that you're not only interested in yourself, and that alone can increase your attractiveness. Chapter 6. Plan your negotiations ahead of time. In this chapter, we will consider 6 key things you need to have in place before the negotiation starts formally. Rookies tend to not take preparation seriously, but as with anything else, proper planning multiplies your chances of success. Determine the strategy and anchor. Your strategy defines the limit of how far you can go. For example, if you're negotiating for a new product, a strategy could be that you won't purchase it for anything more than $60,000. After coming up with a strategy, anchor it by telling the other party. Using the example above, simply let them know, early enough, that you can't go beyond $60,000 for the product. Teaming. Some people enjoy negotiating alone simply because it heightens their sense of self-worth, while others prefer delegating it to someone else due to a lack of confidence. Wherever you are on the spectrum, understanding when to team up and when to allow one person to do it is critical to negotiation success. A good rule of thumb is to only use a team when it will add value. Lack of authority. Negotiators use this tactic to buy time or set a limit on the other party's concessions. Salesmen also use it a lot. Have you tried negotiating a price and the salesperson goes like, "I'm not sure if this can work. I'd have to speak to my boss." Sometimes it's true that they want to relay the information, and at other times it's not. If you notice this tactic being used on you, ask to reschedule the meeting for when their boss would be present. Polar opposite. This tactic is used when a deadlock is reached during the negotiation, or when you realize the other party is trying to exploit you. The polar opposite tactic is exactly what it sounds like, offering the opposite of what's on the table. For example, this can mean threatening to walk away from the deal if an agreement can't be reached. Have a plan B before the negotiation commences. Look for known facts about the other party that can significantly weaken their position. You're not going to win all your negotiations, no matter how smart you are. However, when you have to concede, be sure to take a position that ensures you will make small wins. If you have to concede in a negotiation, make sure you don't lose everything. Conclusion. Negotiation is both an art and a science. It certainly has its difficulties, but effective negotiation is a skill that anyone, no matter who they are and what they do, can learn. Start with understanding nonverbal cues that people give out when communicating. Possess general knowledge of the different personality types and train yourself to identify them in others. This skill will help you tailor your arguments for maximum effectiveness. Always prepare before any negotiation. Use your preparation time to study the other party. Learn about their professional lives. Ask as many questions as you can. Document what you find and use it to draft a strategy. Don't forget to anchor the strategy early enough during your negotiation. Now you're ready to start arguing back and forth. What should you keep in mind as you're about to hop on the call, send the email, or get into the negotiation room? 2 things: trust and likability. Keep your mind open for creative ways you can quickly increase both factors. The faster you build them, the more the other party is likely to agree to your terms. If in any case you see that you're losing position, one good thing you can do is ensure you don't walk out empty-handed. Only rookies do, and you're not one. Recall your predetermined negotiation limit and ensure you don't exceed it. You can always threaten to end the deal if they insist on pushing beyond your limits. Try this. Visit www.mbtionline.com to learn more about personality types.